I personally, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, feel disconnected from the community that I'm involved in at the moment. That's because I spent 8 years overseas, and a lot of my dawah before I left Australia was being very active in the community. Once I left, I couldn't give back when I was living in the Middle East. And then when I came back, I feel disconnected. What am I missing out on by not being on the front lines and supporting day-to-day issues in the community and not being too connected? Like I'm doing other stuff, I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing a bunch of stuff online, but what am I missing from that bricks and mortar kind of support that you talk about with the History of Islam project and those forefathers?
Yeah, Muhammad, I think what's important, not just for you or for me, but for every Muslim, is to see where their heart is, right? I mean, ultimately we have a purpose in this life, and our purpose is the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're not all going to do that the same way. What do I mean by that? There's obviously a bare minimum that we all have to do as Muslims, and Allah Azza wa Jalla has prescribed, some bare minimums because we all need a portion of salat. Right? We all need to be praying at least 5 times a day. That's for our benefit, not for the benefit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all need to be fasting, a certain minimum, and that's that Ramadan, right? So but then we'll excel in other areas. And the Prophet ﷺ, brought this up in a very famous hadith where he talks about the gates of Jannah, and whoever is from Ahl Salah will be, called from the gate of Salah, and whoever is from the, people of Siyam, then they'll be called from the gate of Ar-Rayyan. And so Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, is there anybody that's going to be called from all 8 gates? And the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, and I hope that you are from amongst them. Ibn Abdul Barr, rahimahullah ta'ala, and he said in commenting on this hadith that it is very rare that a person will be, that more than one door will be open for a person, meaning that usually a person is going to excel in a certain area, and they're not going to excel in those other areas. They may just come with the bare minimums. And that's based on this hadith. There was an abid, zahid, a person who was an avid worshiper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the time of Imam Malik. He was known for his worship. His name was Abdullah al-Umayri. And he wrote a letter to Imam Malik, kind of criticizing him for being busy with hadith and teaching the people hadith and so on and so forth. And maybe he didn't look at Malik as being as great of a worshiper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as he was. And so he was calling Malik to stop teaching and just, start worshiping. And Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, responded to him with a very beautiful letter. And basically, the gist of the letter is, without going through each and every detail of it, the gist of the letter is that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has qasam al-a'mal kama qasam al-arzaq, right? That he has distributed the abilities of the people to do good deeds the same way that he has distributed the provisions for the people. And what I'm doing, I don't see that to be any less than what you're doing. And I hope that both of us are upon goodness and righteousness, and it is upon each one of us to be content with that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has distributed for him, right? So I'm saying that to say that your involvement in the community as a person in the background is no less important than the people who are out front. Not necessarily, right? It all depends on what is the need of that time. Is there an advisory board, for example, for your masjid that you may be able to serve on so that you can help direct certain things? Each one of us has to look at our place. At the end of the day, yes, our masjids are important. We should be building our lives, around the masjid. That does not mean, however, that I need to take on a leadership position in my masjid, or be available for everybody all the time. That doesn't work for everybody, right? So each person has to know, where they fit into the equation, and that is about, calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and really asking him for guidance, and that our purpose, as people is one, which is the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to dedicate ourselves to his worship, to dedicate all of our devotional acts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But, each person is going to have a different door that's open for him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.